Okay, let's consider some reasons you might support the Bitcoin economy even though your government tells you it's the devil. Big picture number 7, Africa. If you wanted to help lift 1 billion people out of poverty, you should support the Bitcoin economy. There are over 2 billion unbanked people in the world. Most of them live in Africa. Why don't they have bank accounts? Because the bank fees are too high. Another way of saying that is that those customers are not profitable enough for the banks to be interested in them. But Africans could bypass the banks and deliver banking services on the blockchain, including they could offer micro-lending on the blockchain, and that's a way of kick-starting some economies. What about normal loans? Well, it's difficult in many parts of Africa to get loans because you can't prove that you own the land you're on. Land titles are patchy and sometimes they're corrupt. So it's possible to create land titles on the blockchain outside of that system. And people could verify their ownership even if there's a coup and all the land titles get destroyed. But even more transformative, all of the government's spending transactions could be put on the blockchain in a way that drastically reduces corruption. Now, is a corrupt government going to develop such a system? No. But it would only take one government adopting such a system to have a big impact. I mean, imagine the attention that would garner around the world if there was a government with a completely transparent and open spending system. Let's shift now from a continental level down to a personal level. Big picture number 8, surviving a crisis. Imagine there's a war and you escape with your family, hopefully, and arrive in a refugee camp wanting to build a new life in another country. How do you establish your identity? How do you bridge both those worlds? Well, there are a number of blockchain projects around that allow you to prove your identity without relying on a piece of paper stored in a building that's just been destroyed by a missile. Even if your government says you're an enemy of the state and you've lost all your possessions, all your paperwork, your phone, your clothes, you could still identify yourself. Not only that, you could access your educational records, your medical records, you could prove that you own land, and you could transfer money out of a digital wallet, all without the need of a government. What a magnificent difference that would make to people in the most despairing circumstances imaginable. Now you might be thinking, that's nice. I don't live in a war zone. Maybe, but the future is fickle. If the Antarctic ice cap melts, every coastal city in the world will be underwater. Do you know anyone that lives in a coastal city? The blockchain is international, it's unalterable, it's independent of government. It promises portable identity in a crisis. Governments should care about that. We should all care about that. It's the best future-proofing we could do. So, another aspect of the blockchain, next big picture, market flexibility. Several blockchains out there are designed to improve market liquidity. Now, this is not proved yet, but if they work, it creates a situation where all currencies are interchangeable regardless of trading volume. That means you could be trading in the Rwandan franc and you don't have to find another person who has Rwandan francs. The impact of that would be that you didn't need the US dollar as an intermediary in global trade. There are other projects out there which are working on interoperability of currencies. For example, allowing you to convert loyalty points back into cash, fiat currency, or convert it to virtual goods. And there are still other projects which are creating prediction markets. In those markets, novices and experts compete to forecast future events, and that information is then used to create markets in which people can hedge risks. Markets power economies. Because blockchains like Ethereum are programmable, they allow for increased functionality and flexibility, and that means economic development. So another feature of blockchains is that they're unalterable. All the transactions are time-stamped and chained together so they can't be tampered with, and then they're published. So that means it's very good at accounting and auditing. It means it's hard to steal stuff. And it's brilliant at automatically regulating things. That's big picture number 10, automated regulation. The best example of this is casinos. Governments regulate casinos to make sure they're paying out the right amount of winnings. But all of that involves manual oversight, which is of course incredibly expensive and ends up being paid for by the casino and the punters. Online casinos on the blockchain publish all their transactions so that not only the government but an individual punter can go to the website and have a look at all the transactions and make sure that they're paying out the right amount of money. The lower regulatory costs mean that those online casinos can and do offer higher payout rates than normal casinos. Also, if governments were bold enough to throw out their existing currencies and replace them with a crypto version, they could offer citizens an automated tax service by which your tax is automatically taken out and you never again have to fill out a tax return. Big picture number 11, pathway to global governance. An international currency creates an international economy, and that could be a pathway to global governance. Easy thing to say, difficult to achieve, and obviously would be very disruptive. But an international economy in competition with the current system would be a bomb of economic development. You might see a kids' economy develop. You might see some economies built around time and not money. You might also see some black economies, some black markets start to turn grey. A related detail here is that the blockchain makes possible new voting systems and decision-making systems, and that these can be connected to the currency and the business systems and the governance. These new forms of governance should be allowed to develop. Imagine if the kids' economy became an international self-regulating market. I don't know what an international system of governance looks like, but this is our best chance for economic development and experimentation in 100 generations. It would be a shame if that was stopped by institutions concerned about protecting their power and influence. If you're happy with the way that things currently are, economically, great, thanks for watching. Don't need to do anything. You've already got what you want. If, however, you see some upside potential in this technology and you think society should take some risks around that, then I encourage you to support the Bitcoin economy. How you do that is the subject of the next video. But I want to leave you with this. You can say that the things I've talked about in this video are pie in the sky. But that's exactly the point. For the first time in history, money is programmable. So all of the things I've talked about here absolutely can be done. It's just a question of enough people deciding it's worthwhile. Big picture number 12. Money's programmable. Design your own economy.